looking.
I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk.
Stay.
Stay beside me, guide me, try me. I wanna walk in your light.
I've been looking.
I've been looking, searching, trying to find the right way to walk.
The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, but the things trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand.
Show me the way, Lord.
I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
Also, to all the people that are watching us live on the internet, good afternoon. And as always, it is good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, sisters and brothers, this is something that we do every year. And every year, I still look forward to it. You know, since we're going to have Black History Month, because this is what this is supposed to be, I say we are going to tell the real history as far as Israel is concerned. Because when you know, Black history, you know, Ham's children are black. We're not Hamites. We're Israelites. But since we're going to tell some history, we want to tell a history and not a slave history. Not a history of servitude and kowtowing. Because we have a rich history, sisters and brothers. And when I tell people that this Holy Bible, that everybody's seen to read, is our history, people think we're crazy. But we're going to deal with this, and we're going to indulge in this lesson, sisters and brothers. It's because everybody in this country but us know where they come from. You know, you say, well, you know, I'm from Africa. You will never hear a European say, I'm from Europe. He will say, I'm from Italy. I'm from Germany.
Yes, sir.
I'm from Russia. England, and so on and so on. So when you say, well, I'm from the African continent, that's a big continent. Where's your plot on the land? You understand? And then is that really where you come from? We're going to look into this. But being that we are a people that was totally lost, totally forgotten, and you had another people out here saying that they are us, that don't look like us, it was necessary, sisters and brothers, for us to keep this thing basic and start on the ground floor. First thing is, this lesson here is titled Black History Told by the Prophets, Part 1, Color. Because we need to know what color Israel is. Brother asked me one time, what difference does it make? I said, it makes the same difference as it is when you are stranded in the desert and you need water. If you don't know what a well is, you will die. Israel are the priests, sisters and brothers, and you're going to find that out if you had this whole series.
Right.
That is the difference. So you will know where to go to hear the word of God. Because everybody don't have it. And since Israel went down in 70 AD, sisters and brothers, the word of God has fallen to the ground. And we're going to look at this, sisters and brothers. Because a lot of young Israelite camps, these are youngsters coming up. So I say youngsters, I can say that at 75. And I've been doing this thing for 47 years. They coming up, they find out, they have heard a rumor that they was Israel. And all of a sudden they get all crazy and mean and ugly and start talking crazy to people. That is not the way it's going to be. We're supposed to be the priests. We're supposed to be the one that take people to God. And we need to know who we are so we can get this thing straight. So we're going to start with color. But first we're going to start in Genesis, the 10th chapter. Because there's always something here we need to go and find out who people are. We're going to start this at Genesis 10 and 1. This is the sons of Noah, sisters and brothers. Genesis 10, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Okay, read it.
Now these are the generations of the son of Noah.
Uh-huh.
Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Go ahead.
And to them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth.
Now it's a Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they had children after the flood. Sisters and brothers, I want you to know something. If you didn't come out of one of these boys here, you don't exist. People try to say, well, you know, you got these people. We had another group, and they would go through all kind of changes. But when I say, give me some proof, it can't come up with it. These, if you didn't come out of one of these three boys, you don't exist. But then that tells us something else. All three of these boys had one father, don't they?
Yes, sir.
That means the bloodline is the same. But we got to find out, sisters and brothers, which one of these we came out of and what color are we. So being that we have been a people lost and been among people all over and everybody else have our name but us, we have to compare ourselves to other people.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to show you how we do this. But go ahead and read.
The sons of Japheth.
The sons of Japheth.
Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus.
Uh-huh.
The sons of Gomer.
Go ahead.
Ashkenaz and Riphtah and Togarmah. The sons of Javan, Elisha and Tarshish, Kittim and Dodanim.
Uh-huh.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, in their nations.
Now, you just learned something whether you know it or not. Who are the Gentiles? When you ask a person, what's a Gentile? Well, if you ain't a Jew, you're a Gentile. That is one of the biggest lies ever been told. You come from the tribe of Judah. Should have been Judahite.
Right.
Levi, the priest, is not a Jew. Benjamin is not a Jew. But they're all Israelites. So who are the Gentiles? The children of Japhet, sisters and brothers. Who are the children of Japhet? The people we call European or just plain white folks. Those are the children of Japhet. Gentile don't have nothing to do with non-religion, non-Jew, good or evil. It has to do with the bloodline of one of Noah's sons, and these are what we call white people.
Right.
Have nothing to do with Jew. Go ahead and read.
6. The sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan.
Uh-huh.
And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Saptah, and Raamah.
Go ahead.
And Saptah. And the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Now these are Ham's children, sisters and brothers. He started to name out who is Cush. That's who we know as Ethiopia now. Greeks looked upon the Ethiopians and said, these people have burnt faces and burnt skin. So the word for that in Greek was Ethiop, from which the word Ethiopia came, sisters and brothers. Get some time to look into it. Where are we now?
8th verse.
Go ahead.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Uh-huh.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Now Cush begot Nimrod. Now he's a mighty one in the earth. But let me show you who came out of Nimrod. Skip down to verse 10 and go ahead.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel,
Uh-huh.
and Iraq, and Akkad, and Calneh.
Go ahead.
And the land of Shinar.
Now so Nimrod had some kingdoms, didn't he?
Yeah,
Go ahead and read.
Out of that land went forth Asher,
Uh-huh.
and builded Nineveh,
Go ahead.
and the city Rehoboth, and Calah.
Now out of where? That land, Nimrod's land. Out of one of his nation went forth Asher. That's the one that the Assyrians came out of. The one that built Nineveh. You know, the one that Jonah didn't want to prophesy to.
Right.
So if they came out of Nimrod, then, and which came out of Cush, which is Ethiopia, then what color are the Assyrians? Right. Black, sisters and brothers. See, it's all here in the book, and we have to look at this. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13, and go ahead.
And Mizraim begat Ludim.
Now, Mizraim begot Ludim. Who are Mizraim? Those are the Egyptian sisters and brothers. The Greeks looked upon the Mizraimites and said, these people are black. You know what black is in Greek? Egypt. When they saw these people are black, they said, these people are Egypt. Egypt means black. You don't believe me? Look it up.
Look it up.
Okay, go ahead and read.
Mizraim begat Ludim,
Uh-huh.
and Ananim, and Lehabim, and Naphtali,
Uh-huh.
and Pashurim,
Go ahead.
and Casluim,
Uh-huh.
out of whom came Philistine.
Now, the Egyptians, they got children. They come on down. And out of where did the Philistines come from? From out of Egypt. Out of their lineage, sisters and brothers.
Yep.
So when you see that movie, David and Goliath, they show you in the movie a little old white guy against a big old white guy. Biggest lie ever been told. Little old black guy
Yes, sir.
against a big black guy. Because Goliath was a Philistine, one of the sons of Anak, or Anakim. Y'all understand?
Yep.
But skip on down to verse 20, and go ahead.
These are the sons of Ham,
These are the sons of Ham,
after their families,
after their family.
after their tongues,
Uh-huh.
in their countries,
Uh-huh.
and in their nations.
So now we know the Hamites are the ones that they named the continent they named was Africa, sisters and brothers. But these are the sons of Ham. These are the ones that populate the continent that they call Africa. Go ahead and read.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber,
Uh-huh.
the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born.
Now, we're going to pick up Shem's children, starting with Israel, sisters and brothers. So we're going to go into Genesis, the 37th chapter. This is Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, our father. That's what people don't understand. Israel is the Lord's name. When he adopted Jacob, he do like everybody do that adopt children. Give them his name. That's why he said, you are polluting my holy name.
Right.
And most people don't even pay no attention to it. So this is Jacob and his lineage, whose name also is Israel. Genesis 37, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Genesis chapter 37, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan.
Go ahead.
These are the generations of Jacob.
Go ahead.
Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. The lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought him to his father that he would report.
So now, the main one here is Joseph. He was among his brethren, feeding the flocks. And he said he brought it to his father of evil report. That means Joseph was a snitch, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
They didn't like him for a couple of reasons. But go ahead and read.
Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors.
So he was a snitch, and his daddy showed him favoritism.
Yeah, he did.
And his brothers didn't like that. Go ahead and read.
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him.
They couldn't even have a peaceful conversation with Joseph. But skip down to verse 12. Verse 12 and go ahead.
And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I.
He said, now, that's the last time he would see him as a teenager, when he sent him to Shechem, sisters and brothers. So I want you to, he said, look, don't your brothers feed the flock in Shechem? I want you to go down there. Skip down to verse 18. And let's see what happened when he left. Verse 18. Go ahead.
When they saw him afar, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to slay him.
And his own brothers, when they saw Joseph way off, they conspired to kill him because they really hated Joseph. Because of two reasons. He always reported on what they was doing. And the other reason is his father showed him favor.
Yeah, he did.
That's okay. We're going to kill him. Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21, but the oldest son kicked in to try and save his life. Go ahead and read.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him.
Now Reuben, he delivered him, so let's not kill him, but he didn't want to, he wanted to figure out how he could save him. Go ahead and read.
And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand on him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again.
So he said, look, we ain't going to do nothing. We're going to cast him in this pit. There ain't no water or nothing. And, we're going to let him starve to death. But he intended to sneak back and try to get it.
Yeah, he did.
But the Lord's hand was in this. Skip down to verse 24. Verse 24, and go ahead.
And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites.
Those are Arabs, in case you don't know. The first person that sold you was your brother, and the first person they sold you was two Ishmaelites, the Arabs. This is the first sale and purchase. Go ahead and read.
Came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
Go ahead.
And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content.
Ain't that something? He said, look, what profited us to kill our brother? He's our blood. So let's sell it to these Arabs over here. And all the brothers went along with it. Go ahead and read.
Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen. And they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt.
So now they sold Joseph, and the Ishmaelites, which are Arabs, took Joseph down in Egypt. Skip down to verse 36, and let's see what they did with him. Verse 36.
And the Midianites sold him into Egypt, into Potiphar, and also for Pharaoh, and captain of the guard.
Now that's how Israel entered into Egypt, sisters and brothers. First one was Joseph. His brother sold him to the Arabs sold him to the Egyptian.
Right.
And he sold him to an Egyptian high-ranking official, and God blessed Joseph. I mean, he just blessed everything that Joseph did. Go down, let's go down to Genesis, the 39th chapter now. Genesis chapter 39. And go ahead.
And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down hither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. He was in the house of his master, the Egyptian.
Now look, the Lord was with Joseph, just like he is with all his servants that's going to serve him at all times. You can prosper under any kind of conditions,
yeah,
sister and brother. If you're always on the wall and everything going bad for you, then maybe you should take a wicked check. Because the Lord said he still would be a little sanctuary to his people. So now the Lord was with him, and he was in his master's house. Go ahead and read.
And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand.
Now, when he saw that the Lord was with him and everything Joseph touched turned to gold, he put Joseph over his whole house.
Yes, sir.
So now I do it too. That got me a blessing here. Everything he do, and all the prosperity was to the Egyptian.
Yes, sir.
Because he was blessing Joseph. Skip down to verse 7 and go ahead.
And it came to pass out of these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me.
Ain't that something now? All of a sudden now, here come the test. The house is prospering, everything he's doing is good. All of a sudden, master's wife looking at old Joseph and got hung up on it and said, lie with me. Now here come the man of God. Go ahead and read.
But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master would not what is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he have to my hand.
He said, look, everything, I got so much, the Lord has blessed me so that your master don't even know everything he have in his house.
Right.
Because of the blessing of the Lord. And he said, he have committed all that he have to my hand. Go ahead and read.
There was none greater in his house than I. Neither have he kept back anything from me but thee.
He said, now you the only thing that he done kept back from me.
Right.
But other than that, I am the greatest thing in his house. Go ahead and read. Just keep reading. Go ahead.
Because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
Ain't that something? He knew that thou should not commit adultery.
Yes, sir.
See, so he said, look, you his wife. How can I commit such a great sin? I want to point out something, sisters and brothers. Moses had not been born. But the law has always been with God.
Yes, sir.
You understand? People talking about Moses' law. Where was Moses when this guy know that he can't commit adultery? Because the law has always been with us, sister and brother. He said, no, I can't do this. No, and I ain't going to do this. Go ahead and read.
10. And it came to pass, as he spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her.
Now, I mean, she was on him every day.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
He had to be a real man of God. But skip down to verse 12 and go ahead.
And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and left and fled and got him out.
Now, this time she grabbed him by his garment. You know, sometimes you have things on you ain't got nothing on under. She grabbed it and said, lie with me. Joseph ran.
Yes.
That's what you have to do when sin is up on you. You have to just run.
You got to.
To go away with it, because God is watching it all, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 16. Verse 16 and go ahead.
And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me.
Look at here, sisters and brothers. How many times this problem happened to us in slavery when we was in slavery here? Master's wife wanted to roll a little bit, and you didn't want to do it, and she lied and had you castrated. Or even if you did and he caught you and he had you castrated and born. I mean, it's bad when you're a servant in somebody else's house. So she said, look here. She laid this garment up. Said, this Hebrew you brought into the house. So he mocking me. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment with me and fled out.
Ain't that something? Now this one was on him like a cheap suit every day. Lie with me, lie with me. And so since she wouldn't do it, she decided to get rid of it.
Yes, she did.
So now he come up on me and I screamed.
Right.
And he ran. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's masters took him and put him into the prison.
Go ahead.
A place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison.
Ain't that so? Now this man had worked for his master religiously. His whole house been profit. That's why the woman wanted to lay with him. You know, this is a prosperous guy. You understand? We rich because of him.
Right.
But when he wouldn't go for it, she told her husband. Her husband didn't even take into consideration. This guy's been faithful for me for all these years.
Right.
At least I should hear his side. Or ask him why. He didn't even bother. Just grabbed him. Went and had him locked up. But see, the hand of the Lord was in this sister and brother. So now when he had him locked up, as he did there, he prospered in the prison. So the one over the prison made him trustee. He put him all over all the rest of the prisoners there. And Joseph was in charge of the prison house. Then it was two guys, the Egyptians, that had dreams. Joseph saw them, said, why y'all looking so sad? Well, we had dreams. Tell me your dream. They told him the dream. He told them what it was. One he freed, another one he hung. Just the way he said it. And now, the ones that freed, when he got out of prison, Joseph said, look, when you get before Pharaoh, remember me.
Right.
Say, look, I'm a Hebrew. I haven't done nothing.
No.
I've been sold in the prison, and I'm innocent. Remember me. Right. Let's see if the guy remembered him.
Right.
Because somebody else had a dream that needed to be interpreted. Let's go in the 41st chapter of Genesis. Genesis 41. I wish we could do it all, sister and brother, but we can't. We're just going to hit the highlights. 41 and verse 1. 41 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river, and behold.
Now at the end of 2 full years, from what? From the time that this guy done got out of prison.
Right.
Pharaoh had a dream. Go ahead and read.
And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat flesh, and they fed in the meadow.
7 well-favored cows. I mean, real fat and ate real good. And they fed in the meadows. Go ahead and read.
And behold, 7 other kine came up after them out of the river ill-favored and lean flesh, and stood by the other kind upon the brink of the river.
Now here comes 7 other cows, all starved out and see their ribs and everything else. You understand? And they come up on the fat ones, and what do? Go ahead and read.
And the ill-favored and lean flesh kind did eat up the 7 well-favored and fat kind. So Pharaoh woke.
So when he saw the skinny cows ate up the fat cows, Pharaoh woke up. What's going on here?
Right.
Because when they ate up the fat cows, they didn't get fat. They didn't get no bigger.
No, they didn't.
They were still ill-favored. What's going on? So what he going to do? He going to do what all kings do. They're going to call in their wise people to answer this. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and go ahead.
And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream.
Go ahead.
But there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh.
Now, I mean, nobody could interpret it, sister and brother, because this was from the Lord.
Yep.
See, once you understand what Paul said in the 3rd chapter of Romans, when he said, into the hand of Israel are the oracles of God committed, that means his answer, sisters and brothers.
Right.
So you want to know what's coming from God? You got to find out one of his priests.
Yes, sir.
So he brought them all in there. They couldn't interpret the dream. Go ahead and read.
Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day.
2 years? Took him 2 years to remember?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
Pharaoh was wroth with his servant and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker.
And now you was mad with me and the chief baker, and you put us in jail. Go ahead and read.
And we dreamed a dream in one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man in Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret.
He said, now we both had a dream in one night. And there was a young Hebrew in there with us, locked up.
Right.
We told him our dream, and he interpreted our dream.
Yeah,
Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Me he restored into mine office.
Go ahead.
And him he hanged.
He said, now he let me know that I was going to be restored to my position. But he let him know, mister, you're going to be hanged.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. Go ahead and read.
Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph.
And
they brought him hastily out of the dungeon.
Go ahead.
And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in into Pharaoh.
See, Egyptians don't like hair. Have you seen any picture with Egyptians with them big beards? And a lot of them wore wigs. So Joseph, if you're going to stand before Pharaoh, look here, man, you can't go in there with no fuzzy face now.
Right.
So he shaved himself.
Yeah, he did.
Go ahead and read.
15. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand the dream and interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not in me. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace.
Now see, Joseph knew who put forth the dream, and he know who was going to answer the dream. He says, not in me. But God gonna give you the answer.
Yeah, he is.
You know, like a lot of brothers nowadays, look, you just dumb Egyptians. I tell you what, I'm gonna do you a favor and answer this for you. And don't give God no glory. You have to say, hey, God have an answer for you. And he gave him the answer. Skip down to verse 29. Verse 29. And go ahead.
Behold, there come up 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt.
Now, them 7 fat kinds of fat cows, they represented 7 years of great plenty. I mean, you're going to have bumper crops.
Yeah,
go ahead and read.
And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land.
But after them 7 good years, you're going to have 7 years of famine. And that famine is going to consume the land.
Right.
Everybody going to be forgotten about the good years. Because the famine is going to consume everybody. Skip down to verse 33. 33 and go ahead.
Now therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise and set him over the land of Egypt.
So not only did he tell Pharaoh what was going to happen, he took it upon himself to give him some advice. He said, now let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise and set him over the affairs of the land. Go ahead and read.
Let Pharaoh do this, And let him appoint officers over the land and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh. And let them keep food in the cities.
Ain't that something? So while these good years going on, I want you to store food up all over the nation. I mean, in all the cities.
Right.
Because we got to prepare for this famine. Go ahead and read.
And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine.
Ain't that something? This Egyptian, this great civilization that everybody talks about was being advised by an Hebrew Israelite. I want y'all to pay attention to that, to all the Egyptologists that's running around here. Who's teaching who?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
That was in at 36.
That's in at 36?
Yes, sir.
Okay, skip right on down to 39. 39, and look what Pharaoh said. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there was none so discreet and wise as thou art.
So look here, man, since God done showed it to you, who's more discreet and wise than you are? Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt be over my house.
Thou shalt be over my house.
And according to thy word shall all my people be ruled.
And whatever you say, all of my people going to have to obey. Go ahead and read.
Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
He's the only in the throne. I'm going to be greater than you. I ain't got nothing to say. Just want you to remember I'm still king.
Right.
So what happened? Skip down to verse 45.
And what
did he do? 41, brother. Go ahead, read 41.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt.
Ain't that something? I have set you over all the land of Egypt. That boy really went for a brother that got sold by his brothers. He went to great heights, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Then he gave him a wife. Skip down to verse 45 and read it.
And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zabta-Peanah.
You know, you always got a nickname. You understand? Oh. We saw every nation we went to always gave us a name after their God. You know, like years ago when they had that movie Roots.
Yeah.
This guy, Kunta Kinte, you Toby. And they whooped him until he said, I'm Toby. So he gave him his name, the Egyptian name. Go ahead and read.
And he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On.
So he gave him a wife. He gave him an Egyptian wife. So we know now Joseph married an Egyptian wife.
Yeah, he did.
Black woman, right? Now, but then where did the other brothers get their wife from? We're going to come right back here. Keep your marker here. And just back up to Genesis, the 38th chapter. Genesis chapter 38. Because I want to point out 2-3 things here, sisters and brothers. Because we don't know no history. We don't read this Bible, which is our history, because somebody told you especially, you don't read that Old Testament. That's been fulfilled. Part of it is. That's why you sitting here in this country. But not all of it. And if Fred, too, you read too much of the Old Testament, you're going to run into yourself. Chapter 38 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned in to a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira.
Now this is Judah. Okay, this is the one who the word Jew came from, out of history. The people that come out of his lineage. So he went down, and let's see what he did. Go ahead.
And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua.
Go ahead.
And he took her and went in into her.
Go ahead.
And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name
So now Judah went out there, and he grabbed them a Canaanite woman. That's Ham's fourth son, ain't it? So now he had a son, and let's see where he got his son's wife from. Skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar.
Now, so he took a wife for his son, whose firstborn, whose name was Tamar. So look, sisters and brothers, but Judah's oldest son laid with Tamar and didn't have a child. Then his other son laid with Tamar, and he was so wicked he didn't want to have no child to his brother, so he spilled his seed out in the dirt. God killed him too. Judah promised the woman, I got a younger son. Wait on him. When he get grown, I'll give you him. But when he got grown, Judah forgot.
Yeah, he did.
So what did Tamar do? She took off her black mourning clothes, put on some veil and some harlot clothes, and set in the way. Judah on his way with somebody he saw up there. prostitute. So he went up there and said, I'll give you so much if you lie with me. She said, okay, but you got to give me a token.
Right.
Of what you going to pay me. So he gave her staff and his signet.
Yes, sir.
He laid with her. Then somebody said, Judah, your daughter-in-law done played the harlot.
Right.
Burn her. Then she said, sit the staff and the signet by somebody and said, the man to whom this belongs is the father of our children. Then Judah remembered his fault. My young son got grown. I didn't do it. The woman has been more faithful than I am. So he didn't burn himself, did he?
No, he didn't.
But the whole thing, sister and brother, the woman had twins. And out of one of those twins, you exist, okay? Your mother was a Canaanite. I hear some people name their children Tamar because they think it's an Israelite name. There was not an Israelite name. That's a Canaanite name.
Yes, sir.
Just like Cleopatra was a Greek name. Y'all understand? You need to do some investigating. So anyway, what happened was, so his brothers got their wives from among the Canaanites. Yep. Still Hamites, sister and brother. Still black women. Now let's go back to Genesis, the 41st chapter. Because you need to know, you say, well, these things don't mean nothing. I said, if it didn't mean nothing, God wouldn't have had it written in the book. You have too many people dismissing what God had written, like God don't know what he's doing.
Right.
He put it in there because he knows some fuzzy-faced guy like me going to come and read it to y'all.
Yes,
because there's need to be read, sisters and brothers. 41, and let's start at 46. That's where we left off at. 41, and we're going to start reading at verse 46. Okay, go ahead.
And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Now,
Joseph,
he was 30 years old when he went out to rule, when he stood before Pharaoh. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7th plenteous years, the earth brought forth by handful.
Go ahead.
And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. The food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same.
Now, he really stored everything up because he was preparing for that famine. So in the meantime, that famine hit all the land. Skip down to verse 53 and go ahead.
And the 7 years of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended. And the 7 years of dearth began to come.
That's the 7 years of famine began to come. Go ahead and read.
According as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in all lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So
now the Lord put a famine over all the lands. And the only land that had bread was Egypt. Now, here come the rest of Joseph's family. Let's go into Genesis, the 42nd chapter. Genesis 42. Start reading at verse 1. 42 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
So now, Jacob, back in the land of Canaan, sister and brother, he heard that there was corn in Egypt. He asked his son, why y'all standing around here looking at one another?
Right.
Get on down there and get us some corn before we die here. And that's what they did. Go ahead and read.
And Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt.
So they went down to buy corn in Egypt. Skip down to verse 7. Verse 7. And go ahead.
And Joseph saw his brethren. And he knew them.
Go ahead.
But made himself strange unto them.
Go ahead.
And spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye?
Go ahead.
And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food.
Ain't that something? Where y'all come from? What you doing here?
Right.
They didn't know him. You know why? Because he was 17 years old when they sold him, and he's at least 37 years old now.
Right.
So he got all rough with them. Well, we the son of one man.
Yeah.
But go ahead and read.
Okay. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said unto them, ye are spies, to see the the nakedness of the land ye are come.
See, he had a dream showing that they was going to come bowing down to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he got really rough. Y'all spying. You want to come and see our condition?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
And they said unto him, Nay, my Lord, but to buy food of thy servants come.
Ain't that something? Now, all the time, now this is his brothers, sisters and brothers, all the time they are thinking that this guy is an Egyptian.
Yeah, they go.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. If Israel looked like the guy that calls himself a Jew today, and he went out into the land of Egypt, you might say, yeah, he got Egyptian clothes on.
Right.
But this is one of us.
Right.
His own brothers didn't know him, sisters and brothers.
No, they didn't.
And he got all rough with them. But skip down to verse 21. Verse 21 and go ahead.
And they said one to another, We are very guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the anguish of his soul when he besought us. We were not here. Therefore is this distress come upon us.
Ain't that something? Now they remembered the ugly thing that they had done.
Yeah.
Look here, we're paying for our misdeeds. We saw the anguish on our baby brother's face while we were selling him and collecting the 20 pieces of silver. We saw it. So now payday done come. Go ahead and read.
And Reuben answered them, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child?
Ain't that
you
something?
were not here.
He said, I did not tell you not to do that. Now he ain't here. Go ahead and read.
Therefore, behold, all his blood is required.
Ain't that something? He said, look here, now all his blood is required. I told y'all not to do this.
I told you.
But something was going on. Read the next verse.
And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter.
Ain't that something? They didn't know all the time. Joseph understood every word they said. But he fooled them. He spoke in Egyptian tongue, and he had an interpreter speaking to him in Hebrew.
Right.
All the time, he listened. Then he found out who was trying to help him and who was trying to kill him. Didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
All he had to do was listen. And Joseph put him through a lot of changes, sisters and brothers. But eventually, when he had enough, he decided to let them people know, his brothers know who he was. So skip down to verse. Let's go to Genesis, brother, the 45th chapter. 45th chapter. I mean, you can read this on your own. He put him through a whole lot of changes. But eventually, he revealed himself. 45, and let's start at verse 1. 45, and just think about it now. You got Hebrew Israelites going down there, and they was plead and call their baby brother Lord, and they thought that he was an Egyptian.
Yeah, he did.
How could Joseph pass for an Egyptian if he was white like the people that called themselves Jews? That wouldn't happen, would it?
Nope.
I mean, I don't care how crazy you were. Ray Charles could see that. And he blind and dead.
Right.
Verse 41. Okay, go ahead. Verse 1, brother. Verse 1, go ahead.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, Cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with them, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
Now ain't that something? He had all the Egyptians to get out the room.
Yeah.
They had to, no, boy, this cat is powerful. He told all these people to clear the room, and they cleared the room. This could be a Hebrew Israelite. Not in Egypt, the great civilization. They cleared the room. And go ahead and read.
And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doeth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Yes, sir. That's one hard revelation, ain't it?
Yeah.
You looking at this cat here? Not him. Couldn't be. Now I bet they were trying to look see some resemblance. No, this cat here is faking.
Right.
But go ahead and read.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's him all right. Because only Joseph would know that. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Whom you sold into Egypt. Come near. Go ahead and read.
Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
See, sometimes, sisters and brothers, hard things can come upon you. And you think it's the end, and you think your life is over with. That's when your life is getting ready to take off.
Yes, sir.
That's why I tell people when they call, Brother Bush, so hard, this is, baby, just make today.
That's it.
Tomorrow might not be your day. Tomorrow get here, make this day, and tomorrow might be your day. That's why Jesus told you in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. So however bad it might be, however rough it might be, survive today. Tomorrow you might be on the top of the hill. And you need to know that you're a servant of God. That's why, servant of God, your faith is what's going to sustain you. So he said, look, Lord sent me down here to do good. Right. He saw this great thing coming, so I came down to save life. You guys really didn't have nothing to do with it. You was being manipulated. Skip down to verse 9 and read it.
Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, thus said thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not.
Now he know where his blessing come from, didn't he? Yeah. So I want you to hurry up and go down to my father and tell him that God have made me Lord of all Egypt. Go down there and don't wait.
Don't wait.
That's why you lean on your God. Ain't nothing too hard for him to do, sister and brother. I mean, nothing. Skip down to verse 28, and listen what Jacob said. Go ahead and read.
And Israel said, it is
That's
enough.
Still Jacob, because the Lord changed his name to Israel. And Israel said, it is enough.
Joseph, my son, is yet alive. I will go and see him before I die.
So now, that's how he ended up in Egypt, sister and brother. Yep. He took his whole household down in Egypt. So I'm going to go see him before I die. And then when he got down there, he did die eventually. So Joseph had to take him and bury him because he made him swear, don't bury me in Egypt. Let's go to 50th chapter of Genesis. Genesis, the 50th chapter. Genesis chapter 50. Because there's some things in here we want to look at. So after he died, Joseph started crying. Verse 1, 50 and 1. Go ahead and read.
50 and 1?
50 and 5, I'm sorry. 50 and 5. Go ahead and read.
My father made me swear, saying, lo, I die.
Now he told Pharaoh, so look, my father made me swear and says, Lord, I'm going to die. When I die, go ahead and read.
In my grave, which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come again.
He's not letting me go bury my father, and I'm going to return. And, he had big position. I ain't going to keep going.
Right.
Because they wanted him there. All Egypt was saved because of Joseph. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh said, go up and bury thy father according as he had made thee swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with them went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph.
All the Pharaoh's dignitaries in the house of Egypt went up, and then all the house of Joseph. Go ahead and read.
And his brethren, and his father's house, only their little ones and their flocks and their herds, they left in the land of Goshen.
Go ahead.
And there went up with them both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company.
Go ahead.
And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan. And there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
So it was a great big hoopla of mourning for 7 days. And let's look at what the Canaanites said. Go ahead and read.
And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan.
When they saw it, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. They didn't say it to the Egyptians and the Israelites, did they?
No, they didn't.
They said Egyptian because everybody had Egyptian clothing on, and everybody was the same color.
Yep.
Now we have a couple of famous Egyptians here. We're going to look at first the throne room of Tutankhamun. Let's see if we can put that up. Tutankhamun's throne room, because this is him and his wife. Now you gave me the wrong one, but I know I called it backwards, so it ain't gonna beat y'all up. Now, do anything now look white? Okay, show me Tutankhamun, the head they have of Tutankhamun, the statue. He look white?
Nope.
Show me his grandmama, Queen Tai. Go ahead. She look like any sister, don't she?
Yep.
Because these are Egyptian sisters and brothers. Now, Israel, when they got to mourning, Israel and Egypt was mourning together, and the Canaanites said, this is Abel Mizraim, a great mourning for the Egyptians. See, these things here was put for our consumption, sisters and brothers.
Right.
But then, eventually, all of the people went out and died, and we come up with another Pharaoh, didn't we?
Yeah, he did.
Now let's go into Exodus, the first chapter. Exodus, the first chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. We're going to make some observations here, sisters and brothers, because these observations beg to be pointed out. And the Lord put it here because he knew one day we was going to discover this. And said, wait a minute. Just like in Isaiah, so some going to say, I'm the Lord.
Right.
Some going to scribe with the pen.
Yes, sir.
Some going to surname himself by the name of Israel. Mm-hmm. All of that was there, sisters and brothers, because they know the day going to come when this knowledge is going to fall on us. And we got to deal with it. Verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob.
Uh-huh.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
Go ahead.
Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin.
Uh-huh.
Dan and Naphtali. Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls. From Joseph was in Egypt already.
So now he's telling all the souls that come out of the loins of Joseph, of Jacob, brother, was 70 souls.
Uh-huh.
Because Joseph was already down there. But go ahead and read.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation.
Go ahead.
And the children of Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty.
Uh-huh.
And the land was filled with them.
I mean, boy, we still have babies, don't we? Can't
Yes,
nobody out baby Israel.
No, sir.
I'm going to tell you that right now. We will baby you down. And that's what they did in Egypt. Go ahead and read.
Now there rose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Uh-huh.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. And so get them up out of the land.
It's not these people here. They didn't become more than we are. They're foreigners, but they are more and mightier than we.
Yep.
So we got to do something to these people.
Yeah, we do.
Because if we fall into getting a war with somebody else, they're going to side with our enemies, and they're going to get them up out of the land. Because Israel always made good service, even before they was put in chandler servitude. So now, what did he do? Go ahead and read.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
Uh-huh.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
So they put them in chandler servitude. So you see all them great cities over there in pyramids and like that. Who did it? Israel.
Yes, sir.
When they was in captivity. We did. Go ahead and read.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
Uh-huh.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Now that's one thing that nobody know about us. The more we are afflicted or the broke we are, the more children we have. You ain't got no money. Your car raggedy. You ain't got no job to go to. So what you do, you stay at home. The only thing you got is your wife, and you're going to make babies. And we are an expert at that. So the more that they afflicted Israel, the more babies they had.
Yeah, they did.
Skip down to verse 15 and go ahead.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shapharah, and the name of the other Puah.
Now, midwives are, they're not doctors, but they're women that deliver babies. I was delivered by a midwife. Yeah, I'm that old. Never forget her name, Kate Smith. So he spoke to the midwife. And what did he say? Go ahead and read.
And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him.
Uh-huh.
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Look, sisters and brothers, no matter what nation we among, none of them tried to exterminate the whole nation like Egypt did. That's why it bothers me when I see these brothers running around talking about Egyptology and Egypt. They tried to exterminate the whole nation. What do you mean, Brother Boyd? Because if you kill all the males, they carry the seed.
Right.
So all the girls, you let them live. You know why? Because when the Egyptian man married an Hebrew Israelite girl, the child that's born is an Egyptian. People that look just like us tried to exterminate us, and you mad at the white folks.
Right.
Next week, you're going to find out you ain't supposed to be mad at them. But they tried to exterminate us.
Yeah,
ain't this what it is? Kill all the males. What's going to happen to the nation?
Gonna die.
They're going to die. It's over with. Go ahead and read.
But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them,
but
saved the men children alive.
Now they said, look, we ain't going to do this. So what did Pharaoh do? He went to his own people. Skip down to verse 22. Verse 22.
And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive.
That's the Nile River. You got some big alley crocodiles in there, don't it?
Yep.
But they ain't good. Like when you saw what the Hutu did to the Tutsis, that ain't the first time. There was 2 black people. And I'm pretty sure the Tutsis was Israelite. They had so many, even the alligators got so full, they just laying up there looking at them. So what they did was, they said, threw them in the river. And a lot of them. But in the meantime, here come Moses. Let's go into Exodus, the 2nd chapter. Exodus chapter 2. See, I'd like you to understand, sisters and brothers, what's going on. See, that's why I don't have no beef with no people. Our first captives look like us. And the first people that tried to exterminate us all together look like us. And I'm going to show you, once we got out of Egypt, all the people that we fought against look like us. By the time we run into the Gentile, which was Nebuchadnezzar, we had so many knots on us, they didn't have nowhere else to put a knot. We need to learn, sisters and brothers, because sometimes our emotions and our dislikes are misguided. Now, here comes Moses. Exodus 2 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when the child could no longer, and when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him.
See, she hid Moses for 3 months, but she couldn't hide him no more. It's kind of rough, man, when your neighbors looking all over your fence, and they're looking in your house. So she made a little old bitty boat and pitched it so it wouldn't float, and put him in the river brink, in the flags, that's the reeds. You know, like all banks got water and they got weeds in the shallow part. And her sister followed to see what would happen to him. Go ahead and read.
And the daughter of Pharaoh came down and washed herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child. And behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
Ain't that something? She saw him and he started crying. She said, this is one of the Hebrew children. Then his sister kicked in. Miriam, go ahead.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women? That she may nurse the child for thee?
Now I want you to speak in one tone and stop getting dramatic on me. Now read that verse from the top.
Shall I go? And said his father, then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?
Now, so you want me to go and get a Hebrew nurse for you? And what did she do? Go ahead and read.
And the Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
So now she went and got the child's mother. Now it's a big thing now. Where she couldn't raise him as her child, she could act like a maid that raises Pharaoh's daughter's child. You understand? So she was under protection of the Egyptian now, raising her own child. Know that movie they had with what is that, the 10 Commandments or something like that? Had Moses, when he got grown, he found out that he was an Israelite because they had a little cloth. No. He always knew he was an Israelite because his mama raised him. And she told him what he was. Go ahead and read.
Step 8. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
And
Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it.
Not only did she get to raise him, she got paid for raising her own child. Go ahead and read.
And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, And he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water.
So Moses means up from the water, sister and brother. But look, this is what people don't understand. If Israelites looked like the one that called themselves Jew, how is it Pharaoh's daughter going to come into her daddy and say, look at your new grandson? That ain't going down.
Ain't going.
I have grandchildren, sister and brother. I remember at the old place, some people used to complain because they come up on the stage behind the roster and I'm sitting down and they get on my lap and I'd have them on my lap. He shouldn't be having his grandchildren on his lap, which ain't none of your business. But the whole thing is, I am sure that Pharaoh had Moses on his knee many times.
Right.
Now, how could he not miss Moses if Moses looked like the people that call themselves Jews nowadays?
Exactly.
These points we need to pay attention to, sister and brother. But go ahead, what verse?
11.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens.
Uh-huh.
And he spied an Egyptian smiting in Hebrew one of his brethren.
Uh-huh.
And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
Now look, he looked around, made sure wasn't but the main thing is Israelites saw it. And they had to be the one that blew the whistle to Pharaoh.
Yeah, they did.
So he killed the Egyptian, abusing my brother. Then he come back the next day, he saw a Hebrew abusing a Hebrew. He said, man, why are you treating your brother like that? Don't do it. He said, oh, what you going to do? You going to kill me today like you killed the Egyptian? Moses said, Pharaoh showed up, going to know about this.
Yep.
And Pharaoh knew about it, and Moses had to run. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses.
Who do you think he got it from? Israel. Wasn't nobody around. He thought the Israelites were going to be careful, going to be quiet. He looked around. You know how it is. Boy, learn from that. So he said, look, when Pharaoh found out about it, he sought to kill Moses. Go ahead and read.
But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well.
Now let you know another thing about this movie was wrong, right? When Jules Brenner brought in Charleston Heston and Chain, you done heard about Deliver. This is him. If Pharaoh had got his hand on Moses, he would have killed him.
Yeah, he would have.
It didn't happen like that. So what happened? He ran into the land of Midian, and he sat down by the well. Go ahead and read.
Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock.
Go ahead.
And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
So Moses got up and dealt with them shepherds. The girl going to draw the water, but apparently them shepherds would come and wait till the women draw the water, and they come and run them off and water their flock. Right. But this time Moses was there. And Moses raised up on them shepherds and helped them daughters. Go ahead and read.
You want me to continue or skip down?
Where am I? 17?
That was in the 17.
Skip down to verse 22 and go ahead.
And she bare him a son.
No, in fact, keep reading. I ain't missing this. Go ahead.
Okay.
I got enough time. If I ain't, I'm in charge. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Go ahead and read what verse?
18.
Go ahead and read.
And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today?
How is it you didn't come so soon today? Go ahead and read.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us, and watered the flock.
Who drew water? An Egyptian. That's what they said, drew water out of their flock. Why did they call Moses Egyptian? Because he was black and he had Egyptian clothes on.
Yep.
He said he came. And who drew water from us? In other words, he whipped them shepherds and he drew water from us. Go ahead and read.
And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him that we may eat bread.
Uh-huh.
And Moses was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moses Zipporah his daughter.
Now, he was content to stay down, so the man gave him one of his daughter to marry. So skip down to verse 23 and go ahead.
And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage.
So now, king of Egypt that wanted to kill Moses, he died, but still the servitude and the slavery went on. So what happened? the people cried unto the Lord, and the Lord heard them. Let's go into Exodus, the 3rd chapter. And the Lord heard them. Exodus 3 and 1. Exodus 3 and 1. Go ahead.
Now Moses kept his flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb.
Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Now the Lord did that to get Moses' attention. So what did Moses do? Go ahead and read.
And Moses said, I would not turn aside and see this great sight while the bush is not burnt.
Go ahead.
And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses.
Go ahead.
And he said, Here am I.
Go
and
ahead.
He said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God.
So now he came, and he finna get ready to send him to Egypt now. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows.
Now skip down to verse 10 and go ahead.
Come now, therefore, and I will send thee into Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
He said, now I want you to come on. I'm going to send you down there and deliver my people. Moses didn't want to do this, sisters and brothers. He liked the life he had.
Right.
Walking behind sheep. Let's go into Exodus, the 4th chapter now. Exodus, the 4th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus 4 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And Moses answered and said, Well, behold, they would not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, but they would say, The Lord have not appeared unto thee.
He said, look, they ain't going to believe me. And they ain't going to listen to me. Hey, Lord, I'm going to get out of my face.
Right.
You know what we call one another. You understand? He ain't going to believe me. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto him, What? What is this in thine hand? And he said, A rod.
Go ahead.
And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled before it.
Now, he threw his rod on the ground, and the rod became a snake, and Moses ran. God was trying to show him, look at here. I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm going to tell you something. I'm sending you, and you're going to be able to deliver when I send you. Skip down to verse 6. Verse 6 and go ahead.
And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. You
know, leprous means white, sisters and brothers. The world always, when they give you leprosy, they think with all the so-called, you got two types of leprosy. One when your skin and change and you have sore blotches and all that stuff and boil. But then there's a clean leprosy. That means you just simply turn white.
Right.
So Moses put his hand in his bosom and he took it out. It was white. That wouldn't bother no white person. Oh, well, I didn't get my tan this morning. I only got a little white. But if I put my hand in my bosom and bring it out of the white, boy, you done got my attention. What's going on?
Right.
He had Moses' attention. Go ahead and read.
And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again.
And
he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So he turned it back to the same color, black, sisters and brother. But skip right on down to verse 19. Verse 19. And go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life.
Now that's the same thing that the angel said to Joseph, sister and brother. He said, I want you to go back to Egypt. Everybody that's tried to kill you. In other words, that Pharaoh that tried to kill you is dead. Go ahead and read.
And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass. And he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go.
Because the Lord, look, the Egyptians had really treated Israel bad. So the Lord could have just told Pharaoh, let him go, and made him to walk out. No, partner, you got to pay.
Yes, sir.
That's why I tell people, the Lord said it to the nation. So I was just a little pleased with my people. But you have furthered the affliction. That means all the nations got to pay. I ain't got to tell them nothing. I'm going to teach everyone that want to know the word of God, and I'm going to lead the payment up to God. He can do it better than me. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus said the Lord, Israel's my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
He said, Israel is my son. I want you to tell him that, Moses. Even my firstborn. What's it mean, firstborn? Because God adopted Jacob, and doing so, he adopted all of his children, the whole nation. But the Lord is going to adopt all of the rest of the nation during the millennium period, the 1,000 years of peace. But until that time comes, Israel is his son, his firstborn. And he said, if you don't let my son go, I'm going to kill your son, even your firstborn.
Thank you for today's lesson. If you are in the Chicagoland area, we welcome you to join our church community every Saturday at 12 noon Central. We are located in Riverdale, Illinois at 520 West 138th Street. Our ministry is made possible by your donations. To make a donation or to view all of our locations across the world, please visit our website at www.theisraelofgod.com.